Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to go back underwater, check out some Neko rigs, different options, different things to do it. But this time of year the Neko rig is great because as you can see right here, bait fish, bluegill, bass, all moving back into the shallow weeds. Neko rig is a great way to get after those fish. So last week we talked about docks and staging areas in the fall. And as we see under this dock, you have a ton of bass, pretty good one right there, a ton of bluegill, a ton of bait fish. And the Neko rig is a great bait to throw in there because it's a bait that fish don't see a lot. Plus, when fish are really pressured, it sneaks up on them. So here we have a traditional Neko rig. It's a Zoom finesse worm, and it's basically a weight shoved into the worm and a hook through a wacky style keeper there. And what this is your traditional wacky rig here with a weight on the side. And it allows you to be very, very, very precise with your action, allows you to really work small areas. So here we have a Biospawn Baits Exo Stick, and it is your traditional worm. The Zoom worm, the Exo Stick do a really, really, really good job on a Neko rig. And as you can see here, that action is deadly, especially when bass are piled up in a small area and they've seen everything under the sun. What it does is allows you to give them a different look. And this worm does an excellent job at that. You got that great action, that great color pattern, and it allows you to really, really, really work a small area for bites. As you can see here, this worm does a great job. The Zoom worm does a great job at just giving fish a different look. I have tons of confidence in this bait right here underneath docks. So here's a different look on a bait. Here we have a power bait 7-inch ribbon tail worm. And I really like this bait when you are throwing it through grass and weeds and letting it fall into holes. And the slow fall and the subtle action on this bait does a good job at getting pressured fish to bite. Now, the ribbon tail worm is your typical Texas rig deep bait. I love throwing this bait up under docks, up around grass patches with holes, because it's something that fish don't see. So here we have a Savage Gear 3D Craw, and this is actually one of my favorite late summer, early fall baits because the crawfish start to get active again, and this is way less invasive than a jig. If you look at a jig underwater versus this crawfish, it looks way more invasive. This crawfish scooting along the bottom looks dead up like a real crawfish. And we're going to get a couple fish catches off a couple docks here because of this, right? It's invasive. Literally, fish are going to grab it and pick it up. Now, the cool thing about a Neko rig here and using that wacky style keeper is once a fish bites this rig, the bait's going to slide up the line. So the fish aren't tearing up the bait. And then if you use that VMC ICAProve Neko hook, they are not getting off. You see right here, that bait slides up the line. It's perfect. That fish is hooked dead up in the top middle of the mouth, and they're not going anywhere. Great way to catch them. So here we have another non-traditional option. We have the young crawpappy, and this is another crawfish bait that absolutely will get bites during tough times to catch fish. I really, really, really like the crawpappy on smallmouth lakes and around rocks. So if I'm going up to Lake Michigan, St. Clair, Erie, fishing a lot of rocks, a lot of hard structure, I love this bait because it looks and feels like a Ned rig, but has the profile of a crawfish, and it's something that a lot of fish do not see. It's one of those baits that's sneaky. It's a jig trailer, but it can function fantastic as a Neko rig, and the action is incredible. But also, you get a ton of the same action as you get on a Ned rig. And this gives you another way to give fish a different look, something that they normally don't see. Here we have a classic bait, a Gene Larue salt crawl. And I really, really, really like this bait on largemouth lakes where fish see a ton of jigs or a ton of Texas rigs. One, this does a fantastic job of looking like a crawfish. And two, this is a bait that is a tried and true. I've caught thousands of fish on this rig right here, simply finding rocks, finding grass, and slowly working that bait through. Same thing here with the Biospawn Vile Craw. It does a fantastic job giving a bluegill, crawfish, go-between mix. And this is actually one of my favorite baits here, and I learned about it bed fishing. I ended up losing all of the jigs I had in the boat on one day, and I picked up the Vile Craw. I didn't have any jig heads. I rigged it. All I had was a Neko weight. I rigged this, and I ended up catching a ton of fish because it literally looks like a bait fish or a crawfish swimming down into cover. Those pinchers give a ton of action. That tail gives a ton of action, and this bait is just another way to give fish a different look at something that they see a lot of. I get a ton of baits skipping this bait right here up under docks. It skips like a dream. It's got a wide flat base on it, and it is a perfect Neko Rig bait because of that. Again, here you have a lot of options with the Neko Rig. We have Bass Pro Baby Back Crack Craw. This is a great Ned style bait. It gives the same kind of action as a Ned rig, but it gives that extra little bit of action. It's something that fish don't see a lot of, and it tends to get bites in pressured situations. The outrageous colors, fantastic on smallmouth. This is a great Lake Maxinkuckee bait right here. I've caught a ton of fish on this bait deep. Now, another way of looking at something that a lot of guys throw, the ZMan Hula Stick. Now, I have it rigged here, Neko style, with a weedless hook. It's called a Tiny Child rig. The number one place that I throw this is when I want a profile that's going to backslide. If you watch here as I pick it up and shake it, that's going to slide back. This is a great thing to throw around docks, to throw around pontoons, because it does a fantastic job looking like a fish swimming back into the cover. It can also come through anything on the face of the earth. It is literally a bait that you can throw anywhere, in the deep weeds, wherever. You can punch it, you can flip it. The Tiny Child rig here makes this bait very, very versatile, and you see right there as it shoots back into the cover. Same thing here with the classic ZMan Trd. If you rig it Tiny Child style, it will fall into cover and come out with nothing on it. I like this better than a weedless Ned head because 10 out of 10 guys right now, when they're throwing a Ned or throwing a weedless Ned, this is just a different way to look different, to give fish something they don't normally see in places that they normally don't see it. This bait right here does an excellent job getting bit in almost every situation when fishing is tough. So this last little bit here, we've got a camera up under a dock. We're skipping that Savage Gear Rage Craw up under a dock. And as you can see, it is a very subtle, natural presentation. That crawfish scooting along the bottom right there gets inquisitive fish to bite. You got that slow fall, looks like a crawfish going backwards. Here we actually get a fish catch. You can see it dimly there, fall down. You see a bunch of bluegill and bass swimming around down there. The fish is swimming up to it now. Picks it up right there. Gonna get hooked immediately. Great hookup on that. You see it up there at the top flopping around, and here's your release, right? Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Hope you learned something about the Neko Rig. It's a great thing. It'll get you bit. And remember, in the fall time, find those docks and transition areas, because when you find those transition areas, you will find the right kinds of fish, guys. Thanks. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. See you next time.